Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we go through Aladtec, which is our employee scheduling solution that was created specifically for public safety agencies. My name is Nancy, and I am a program manager here with TCP Software, and I am joined by Andrew Crawford. He is one of our solutions consultants here. He works every day with the Aladtec system. He uploads rosters, creates schedules, meet with all of you fine people, and walks everyone through the system. So glad he can join us today to do that. He's very well versed in the system. Just a little background, TCP software has been around for over 30 years, and the Aladtec scheduling software has been around for over 20 years. And as I said, it was specifically created for public safety. Our very first customer was actually a local EMS agency. So, and then they just kind of tweaked everything to fit for all the needs of public safety people like you guys. So we always appreciate what you guys do. TCP itself specializes in providing employee time, attendance, and scheduling solutions. Obviously, we want to save as much time as possible for you guys during your day and also help control any overtime costs and things like that. Today, Andrew is going to walk you through the system, as I said, highlighting things like our member database, which is a place where you can hold all of the information on your staff members, everywhere from where they can have the, sorry, I'm lost for words there, their work qualifications and positions that they can do, everything in there for their passwords, notification settings, even some customizable settings as well as far as tracking certifications and licenses and all of that information. We're going to go through the schedule views. We have a lot of different ones from our monthly calendar view to weekly to daily views, roster views, different things like that. There's one really nice feature in the system that a lot of people don't realize that, at first that we even have this option, but we have forms in the system. They're customizable. We have over 200 pre-made forms in the system already that was kind of conglomerated from our customers. So that's kind of a nice way to either use one of those, or you can customize a pre-made form or create one from scratch. Anywhere from people use them from their timesheet forms to inventory checklists, to vehicle maintenance checks, things like that. And then we have several reports in the system, from schedule view to time off tracking, things like that, accruals. We also have a system log report, which really allows everything in the system is recorded or documented, I should say. So you'll always know things that are done in the system and who did it, who maybe made changes or deleted information, whatever. It's all recorded in there. And then, oh, I'm sorry, it says guest speaker. We don't have that today. I guess it didn't update that slide. So basically, then I just want to let you know the webinar is being recorded today. And as a follow-up, we will email you a copy of it. If you should have any questions during today's webinar, please feel free to send them through the questions section on that GoToWebinar panel, and we can get those answered for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew, who will go ahead and get started with the system.
All right. As always, Nancy, thank you so much. I'm going to start off with a really simple question here really quickly. And Nancy, hopefully you can confirm. Can everyone see my screen? You should see the Aladtec system in front of you.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks again so much for taking the time out to come and check out the system with us today. As Nancy mentioned, my name's Andrew, and I'm here to walk you through it. I want to give you just a quick 2 seconds on who I am and where I come from, because it'll be somewhat informative to how we talk about this. So I've spent the last 6-7 years of my career supporting clients through the software decision-making process. However, probably more importantly to this conversation, I spent well over a decade of my career leading a 24/7 operations center. And as we know, there's many things that go into running an operation, one of which is scheduling. So I spent way more time over the course of my tenure there managing a schedule than I ever wanted to. But of course, it's one of those necessary evils. If people don't know what they're doing or where they're going, then they don't know, and it makes everything the more difficult. So the schedule truly is paramount. So the question here is, how can we have that great scheduling system and then in turn save all that time that we're going to be wasting? And Aladtec really is designed for the 24/7 operation, and especially emergency services such as yourselves. So today we're in a fire department's database, but this could be a police department, this could be emergency services, could be dispatch, whatever it is that you need to be able to schedule for, we can essentially configure in here for you. Last thing before we actually start looking at things, I actually want to start this process off by demonstrating what the team experience is going to be. And I do that very intentionally. As someone who's implemented systems as both a leader and as someone from a software company, the number one point of failure with any implementation is the end user, right? I can solve all of my problems really easily. A lot of the times it's the administration team coming together to build out these systems and solve these problems. But if I make it more difficult and more convoluted for the team, it doesn't get used. And therefore, all the hard work that I put in doesn't help me. So I want to start off with that experience. And we're going to log into the system actually via my phone here in a second so you can see that. And we're going to log in as a gentleman by the name of Frankie. So I'm going to stereotype Frankie's here a little bit. My assumption is Frankie, grew up in New York and he had two paths to go. He could either become a firefighter or he could join a gangster movie, right? Those are the two options for him, and he chose to become a firefighter. And so let's take a look at Frankie's experience. So Frankie's sitting at home, it's his day off, he's chatting with his family, his birthday's about to come up, he needs to request a day off. Frankie's a really high performer, but he's not always the best at those administrative tasks, right? We know we work with those guys, they're really, really good at their job, but if only they put in that request that much earlier. I have a theory about this, and my theory is high performers work really well in the moment when they're present and they know what they need to do. But if they have to wait till the next morning to submit something, they're gonna forget. So if Frankie's able to do this at the dinner table while he's chatting with his family and figuring out what's going on for his birthday, then he's gonna get it in sooner and make the whole process that much simpler for everybody. So with that, I wanna flip over to my phone, and this is my phone here. You guys should see that. And Nancy, definitely chime in if it's not displaying.
It's in.
I'm
Yep, we see it.
showing my phone, which is an Apple device here, but if you're using Android, doesn't matter. System doesn't care. And you can see I have all my apps, and I've got Aladtec on the second page here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. Like I'm Frankie sitting at the dinner table, right? So Frankie logs in, and the very first thing he sees is actually a required message. So this is something as to where from Aladtec, you can actually push down required messages to your team. There's been an update to the SOP. There's been, they need to complete their timesheets. Whatever it may be, those important notifications can be sent out. And in addition to that, Frankie needs to go to his dashboard, right? And his dashboard is where he would typically load straight into, but he can't do that until he acknowledges this message, right? So he has to read the message. Well, he has to at least acknowledge the message. I can't guarantee you that he's going to read it, right? But he has to acknowledge that he's seen it. And so once he's done that, then he can move straight through to the system. And of course, if there weren't any required messages here, he'd move straight through to his dashboard. So I'm going to acknowledge this. And just remember that you can report on this as well. So if Frankie comes back and says, I didn't get that notice, you can say, hey, Frankie, you acknowledged it on February the 15th at 11:09 Central Time, right? You can get that specific. So I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to go through. So we can see what's going on with Frankie's day here. We've got his upcoming shifts. So he's got the next couple of shifts that are coming up. He's got available trades, so he can accept a trade from someone. He's got open shifts. So maybe he received a text or an email saying, hey, we need someone to cover an EMT position on the 15th from 11:30 to 7. He can come in here, open up the system, and just sign up right from there, right? Keeping it simple and easy for him. He can see some time off that he has scheduled already for the 18th. Maybe that factors into his decision to request off another day. And then, of course, he can see his upcoming events as well, right? So I just put today's demonstration on here as an event, but this could be, maybe it's football season. There's a high school football game going on. We know we need to be extra aware of what's going on those nights. Anything that we need to have logged there. Okay. So I know this isn't probably everybody's main focus coming into this presentation. I only wanted to take a minute or two here to show you a little bit of the functionality and show you how easy it's going to be for your team. So if Frankie needed to request off the 17th as an example, all he has to do is click on that day. He can request to trade. He can request time off. He just clicks through and submits it. So as he's reviewing, he can set the times he needs to be off. Doesn't have to be a full day, could be a partial day, right? He can select his time type, and this is all fully configurable. So your time off types can be logged in here along with their accruals. And so he can select the type of time off that he's going to use and submit that request, and immediately gets a notification that it's been submitted. Last thing I want to highlight before we move on from this section is that Frankie's requested the 17th off, but he's still scheduled, right? It's not going to drop down to this PTO section or this upcoming time off section until it's approved by the administration team. And all of those workflows can be configured for you depending upon your specific needs. Okay. In addition to the dashboard, of course, Frankie can go in and he can get a more detailed view of the schedule, right? If he wants to know who all's working on a particular day, he can see that. He can get a calendar view if he prefer on his schedule. And he can even do things such as submit extra hours, request time off, or even add his availability from here if you have part-time team members who want to share that with you. The last thing that I'm going to highlight here are the forms. So we also have forms in the system, and I'm not going to go into any of these forms for Frankie, but I just want you to note here, the very first thing he saw when he logged in was he needed to go in and complete a checklist, right? This is where he would do it. He doesn't have to jump on a computer. If he wants to do it from his phone, his tablet, whatever it may be, he can do it directly from here, keeping it simple and easy for him. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my phone here. So we'll get rid of that. And I want to walk through the system. So I find it, oh yeah. Sorry, I thought I may have had someone asking for a question. So what I want to show you in the system, now that we've seen how the team members are going to interact with it, is what we're going to do as administrators, right? So when you log into the system as an administrator, you're going to come to your homepage just like anyone would. You have your dashboard, and this is very similar to the dashboard that we just saw on Frankie's phone. The one distinction you're going to see here on this dashboard is that we also have the ability to approve items, and that's because we're logged in as an administrator right now. And in fact, if you were logged in on your phone as an administrator, you'd be able to approve actions as well. So all of this can be completed directly from here without going any further into the system. Now, I'm not going to approve anything, but if you wanted to approve the time off Frankie just submitted, again, all it is a click of a button. You can either approve or deny based on whatever is going on. Okay. I want to give you a little bit more context around what we're doing here. So I'm going to actually be doing that on the schedules portion of the system. And you can see we have this navigation menu at the top, which is how we'll get there here shortly. Additionally to the pending requests, which populate on your dashboard, you also get information such as expiring certifications. So if you require your team to have CPR training, maybe you're a police department and it's firearms training, and that has to be recertified or renewed every single year, or maybe it's every 5 years, whatever the timeline may be, we can set expiration dates and alert you not only when it's expired, but also when it's about to expire. So you can set the parameters there. Do you need to know 30, 60, 90 days ahead of time? Because honestly, it can be tough to schedule some of those courses. So we want to make sure you have enough time to get everything scheduled before the certification actually expires. Then on the main body of the homepage, this is a completely configurable page. We can put your logo in here. We can put any text, any links. in here that you need for your team. So this really could be like a launching page for them to get to all of the systems that they need to, if that's something you require. I'm going to move over to the schedule section to put a little bit of more context into what Frankie was just doing. So I'm going to come over here to the schedules page, and I'm just going to click on the header. And here I'm looking at the schedule, okay? We've got a lot of things going on this schedule, and I'm just going to give you a general overview to begin with. But here we have our filter options. So we can choose what we're looking at. Right now, I'm just choosing to look at the schedule for engine 1 and engine 2. But if I wanted to include all the additional schedules, here I can toggle between that and my scoped in schedule of just engine 1 and engine 2. And this is all using our filters that can be edited and saved. So I can turn on and off all the schedules that I'm looking at. I can also turn on which features I'm looking at. And I can scope it in using the member filter too. Okay. Moving on down here, we can see that we've got shift labels here. So we've got C shift, A shift, B shift. We can see which shifts working each day. We can see the rotations that have been run, right? We've got 24 on, 48 off for this. You know, if you are an organization that have your shifts, maybe they're split, you have a day shift, a mid shift, and a graveyard shift, we can separate them out that way as well, depending upon your specific needs. All of the schedules are really straightforward to read. I'm going to scroll down here to a couple of the days coming up so we can take a look. So here on the 15th, we don't have any signups, we don't have any trades scheduled, but what we do have is an event listed. So we have today's presentation listed. And we also have an open position for our on-call schedule. Now, because we have an open position on the schedule, it opens up this notifications icon, which allows me to email and text the team to fill this position. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and send out that notification and say, hey guys, we need to fill this shift. All I have to do is click on the notifications icon. I can pick which of the open shifts that I need to fill. It's the on-call shift that I want to fill. But if I wanted to send out this medic position as well, I could do both together. By default, the system's going to send the notification out to anyone who's not scheduled to work and qualified for the position. So if you're qualified to be an EMT, if you're qualified to be a firefighter and you're not currently scheduled, you'll receive this notification. But if you need to get more granular than that, of course you can, all the way down to the individual level. So, you know, I could deselect everybody and just send this over to Frankie if I wanted to. Okay. 9 times out of 10, though, the default setting here, if anyone who's qualified and not scheduled, is going to cover all your bases. And then you can send out the notification to everybody. We have this set to simultaneous notifications, so everyone gets them all at once, but we do have a feature which will stagger those notifications if you need them to go out in order of seniority or something along those lines. And then of course you can enter notes. So I'm just gonna put in a simple help note here. You guys, I'm sure, will be more detailed with your notes. You can add anything pertinent to the team, and then the email and the text will go out. And you can see a preview of that directly from here. Click on it, make sure everything's populating the way in which you want. The final step is just simply to click send. So that's how you send out that notification, right? Now, once that notification goes out, just like Frankie did, the team are going to go online and they're going to sign up for those shifts. And we can see here on the 16th and the 17th, we've got people who have signed up. So if I want to fill this on-call position for the 16th, all I have to do is click here on Terrence. I'm going to say we're first come, first served. So Terrence was the first person to submit this. Lorraine submitted it, unfortunately, a fraction of a second after Terrence. So when I approve Terrence from here, Lorraine's going to get a notification that she didn't get the shift. So really helps with communication for the team, right? They're not wondering, did I get this? Did I not get this? And all you have to do is simply click approve. And as soon as I do that for the 16th, it puts Terrence on the schedule. And you'll notice we no longer have that notifications icon because all of our shifts are filled. Additionally, looking at the 16th, we can see we have a trade taking place. I can see that really simply from the 2 arrows here indicating where the trade is. And then I have notes here that Sue's working for John. Really simple, really straightforward, easy to see. Here on the 17th, I can see Frankie has a request for time off. And here on the 18th, I see that he has approved time off. So it may be difficult to see here, but you can see an A right by Frankie's name on the 17th. And so in order for us to approve that time off for him, all we have to do is click on the link. Again, we can approve or deny and simply approve it, right? Really simple, really straightforward. I've been doing this on the monthly view, but of course we have a weekly view. We have a day view you can print out if there's still members on your team who need that printout every single day. So you can get all of that information in a myriad of formats. Okay. I'm going to transition away from the schedule and I'm going to move over to forms. We talked a little bit about forms. We have over 200 configurable templates in the system. So this form that you're seeing in front of you is one of our out-of-the-box forms, but it can be really quickly and easily edited, okay? So if you don't use the term shift, let's just say hypothetically, you need to change this to squad, right? Right, I'm gonna update that to squad, okay? I'm getting a notice that it hasn't been saved. Let's just say I wanted to add a new field in here for someone to input their name, right? I could do that. Or something like names, in fact, I don't have to even have them type that, right? I could delete this field. And we actually have smart fields in the system. So if I just wanted a drop-down list for them to select from, I can have them select from them in the drop-down list. And then I can save it. So these forms are really simple and easy to configure. And you can see if we were filling out the drug box inventory form, here's the form, right? It's going through everything we need in our drug box. And this can be, again, updated to whatever specific needs you have for your drug box. The engine and ladder checklist. In here, we've got drop downs, we've got check boxes, we've got free type text fields. We've got, we can even have signature and attachment fields. So you want someone to take a picture and attach it to the form, no problem. And the portion of these forms, which I actually like the best, because they're my favorite part of the system because you can do so much with them. And the application uses are fairly infinite, right? Whatever you need a form for, we can probably build it out for you. So the nice thing about this, though, is now you have a form, all your submitted forms are going to build up. So when you need to run a report on your drug inventory box, you can run a report on all of the forms that have been submitted, right? And I just select that. I can pick and choose the fields from the form that I want to include or not include, right? And then I can run these reports, okay? So we don't have any data in this report. It's not especially interesting. So I want to show you the system log report, which have a little bit more data in here. So the system log report is auditing everything that's taken place in the system. Remember when Frankie submitted that time off a moment ago? It's logged right here, right? We can see that it was approved. We can see when he read that required message. All of that information is available really simply and straightforward. Now, over the course of time, this report is going to become massive. And I share that with you not to intimidate you, but to demonstrate how easily you can scope this in. So if you've been using the system for a year and have, thousands of records in here, but you're looking for something specific to do with Frankie, let's just scope this into everything that has to do with Frankie. We can even select specific action types. So if it's just something about, trades or something along those lines, you can just select the action types from there. And so that really big list just got a lot smaller really quickly and really easily. And of course, you can set time parameters for it. In addition to that, of course, we have payroll reports. Our payroll reports are logged here, and again, through the filter option can be configured however you need. You can even bring in member data, right? So if you needed to include everybody's ID number, employee ID number on the report, you could bring that data point in from the member profiles and include it. You can exclude any fields that you don't need, and you can, add information in as you want. So if you wanted everybody's phone number, as I mentioned, you just select that and import it in. One thing which may be the most important about the payroll report is, of course, you can export it, right? So I need to get this out of Aladtec and into another system. I can export it, and there are additional integration opportunities available too, should that be something that you're curious about. Last thing here, we have storage. So if you want to save all your SOPs into the system and create a folder for that, we can do that. And then the team can quickly just log into the one location for all of that. We have discussion groups. So, these are just a chat inside the system for the team to share information. And then lastly, we have help. So help is where you can go if you just need a quick reminder on how to do something. During the implementation phase of Aladtec, we're going to take care of all the setup and the configuration for you. And then maybe, a year from then, you need to make a tweak to something. There's more than likely a video in here to remind you how to do it. So it's a great resource for you. But in addition to that, you, of course, have our support and our online help. And our team are incredibly quick to respond. Our current time, it's averaging less than a minute to have a live person on the other end of the phone during our support hours, which are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central. And our online chat is available 24/7. The last section of the system I want to show you before we wrap things up from my side is going to be the member database. So the member database is an incredibly important part of the system. So I can come in here and I can essentially pull my roster whenever I need to. And so I've been looking at this because we have a lot of certifications that are expired or expiring. So I can come in here and I can set up my view. So I'm looking at all of the certifications and what their expirations are and who I need to start working with, right? In addition to that, if I scheduled everybody for this ACLS class and they all got certified on the same day and I need to update these dates in bulk, I can select as many people as I need to, right? And I can just do one bulk update for all of those guys. So I just come here and say, okay, we're going to set this update to be February 26th, 2024 now. And there we go. I just updated all of those people at once. So it allows you to see all of the individual information and update it easily as well. These aren't the only views available to you. You can look at absolutely anything in the system. So if you want to look at just the general member information, here we've got names, phone numbers. And of course, using my edit option on the filters, I can pick and choose any of these items that I want to look at and then make updates as needed. With that, I'm going to head back to the homepage. And Nancy, is now a good time to open it up for questions or anything along those lines?
Yep, I do actually have a couple of questions here for you. Marilyn is asking if they don't need the payroll feature, are they still able to track sick and vacation leave?
Absolutely, yes. So we still have your scheduled time report if you don't use payroll. We still have a summary report and we still have individual member reports. So just to give you an idea here, right? If you're not using that payroll feature, you can still figure out what everybody's time type is, right? And that would include their time off codes and things along those lines.
Cool. And then I also have a question. Christine is asking, when looking to fill open shifts, basically they hire by hours worked per week and then per year. Is it customizable for that? for the open
Nancy, would
shifts
you say that
feature.
one more time for me?
Sure. She's saying when hiring for an open shift, I believe she means, would assume, if we're looking to fill it, they hire by hours worked. So they're looking for hours worked per week.
Absolutely.
When, okay.
Okay, so let me show you this and I'll give you an example right here. I'm going to go onto the on-call schedule. So when we were approving people to fill that open shift, we just used the sign up option. And as I mentioned, I use first come, first served. But a lot of organizations need other options, right? It's going to go to the person with the most seniority. It's going to go to someone along those lines. Actually, let me just do this. Let's switch here. I'm going to go to this one because we have some people signed up. So on this day, I can see when I come into my hourly editor here, this is how I edit the schedule for the day. And I can come in and I can approve these signups directly from here. Right now, I'm also seeing their date hired and I'm seeing their total number of hours. But if I wanted to bring in another field, let's say I just wanted to look at all of their hours plus their out of rank hours and overtime. I can pull that in. And of course, we don't have any calculations in the system because I didn't think to stage it for that. But if we did have those hours logged, you'd see everybody here. And you can sort by any of these columns too. So you'd look at their total hours, their overtime hours, and then based on that, you can approve whomever you need to. Hopefully that answered the question. Let me know if it didn't.
Yes. Yep. Nope. I think that did. One other question here too is there a way to keep track when people call out and when the on-call person is called in?
Is there a way to keep track when someone has called out and the on-call person is called in? So I would say yes, 100%. There's also a couple of different approaches you can take based on your needs. So what I would say first and foremost is that you could utilize time types so that when you're looking at your reporting, you could say, okay, that was overtime for a call-in versus overtime for a holdover. And you can get really granular on your time types because you can add as many as you need. And then for your time off, the person who called off, of course, that's just automatically reported because that's logged in the system for you. So you'd be able to track people being called in through that time code. The other way of doing it would be through schedules and things like that, but I think that's probably the direction I would take you in, depending, again, upon your specific needs.
Got it. And one person did ask if there was an API.
There is an open API. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. That's pretty much it. I answered some of the other ones on my end here, so I think we're pretty good.
Right.
Thanks, Andrew. I really appreciate your time doing that.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. As Andrew said, we really appreciate all of your time for joining us today. Just as you probably already know, you can go out onto aladtec.com website and you can actually sign up for a free trial. They will go ahead and get one out to you and you can play around with it. They even do custom trials where they put in your roster information so you can actually see what the system can do with your own people and what it looks like. So please feel free to do that as well. And if you ever have any questions, give us a call. We're happy to talk with you about it and what we can do for you. So we're here to help. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.